Wow, this episode with Anthony is just a rocket ship.
Yeah.
Like it started out like Doom had come across the Moped Outlaws land because there was a desert of guests.
Yes. The guest was a no-show.
And we were going to compensate because we sort of started talking with each other. And of course, there's a story in there about something I'm doing, and as I was doing it, I was happy to tell my friend Greg, but I was just feeling like, this doesn't really need to be, everyone hears this. So we'll keep it. And maybe someday you'll get to know what the nature of the whole conversation
that actually could be cool. Maybe we'll post it as a B episode, like a bonus. I was like just in a bummed place. And so I was giving, I feel like I had no energy to give, but then Anthony popped in and the Christian stoner.
Yeah. Yeah. You should hang out with more stoners, I guess.
I don't know. It's certainly, what's great, because I have a debate with my son all the time about the impact of getting high and this and that. And I really try to let go of this father energy element that isn't based in reality.
Yeah.
And you and I have both chosen sobriety. And I think it's wise for us, but it's good to know like that's our personal choice, and everyone has a personal choice, and theirs may be different.
Well, and that's interesting because personal choice and liberty and freedom are a big part of the discussion that we have with Anthony.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of success envy. Like both Greg and I are kind of looking at this guy going, wow, he's did it. Like he took himself from poverty level to middle class level as a comic and a podcaster. And he has lost none of himself along the way. And it's really cool to talk to him. And, for those of you who might need it, trigger warning, there's some things that we talk about on this podcast which may upset your sensibilities. But he's a good guy. We had a good time, and there's no love lost here for sure.
All right, let's dive in.
Sis, hallo?
Levin.
Bist du sicher wegen dem?
Jag är inte idiot.
Two outlaws on the lam, taking the back roads through America.
You can't drink enough coffee for this show.
And now it's time for Monday Madness with the Moped Outlaws, Greg and Mark.
And I thought that was really intriguing because the body forms patterns, and we grow these chemical imprints based on that. I don't even remember.
Look who just popped in.
Awesome. Let's add him.
All right.
Yo, hey, sorry about that. I had the wrong time on here. I saw your email and I got on as soon as I saw the email. I'm sorry about that, man.
Anthony, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Only 22 minutes late, so sorry about that. I had it at 1, so I was like trying to be early, and I was like, I looked at it at 12:30, and I'm like, yeah, we're in the room right now, dude. I'm like, oh god. So sorry about that, guys.
So for those of us who don't know, go ahead, Greg. I'm sorry.
No, it's 35 minutes late, Anthony.
Okay, it says you're live for 22 minutes. That's why I was like, okay.
That's how long we've been. We just decided we thought you weren't going to show up, so we recorded.
So crazy. Sorry, man. I'll have you guys on my podcast.
Hey, Anthony Rogers is the Mick Jagger of comedy. Let's just put it that way.
That's funny. I was definitely, dude. No, I thought I was being early, man. I was all hyped. Like I'm checking my emails early, and I'm still late. So how are you guys doing, man? Sorry, awesome show, by the way, man. I was literally watching episodes of it today. I knew this was happening. I just didn't know the time. Sorry,
You're interrupting a really
crazy.
Interesting conversation about milk.
Well, good. Yeah. I'm glad I was able to at least interrupt something.
Please help us.
I think this episode, and some full transparency, something's just bumming me out in my life right now. And so my energy, I was listening to Mark and just like, oh yeah, life. And Mark's like, yeah, I'm engaged with my life. I'm changing my life. And I'm like, oh, inside, I'm just like, oh, my fucking life. Anyway, welcome to the show, Anthony.
Thanks, man. Thanks, guys.
Hey, one thing we were wondering, because Mark said earlier, why'd I choose the background I have? And I thought, well, I think Anthony's into cannabis. I think that's part of his scene.
Yeah. I just did a cannabis festival a couple weeks ago. Yeah, it was It's fun, man. I smoke a lot of weed. I guess.
Are you in
late?
No, I thought I was early. I literally was like planning. I had to say 1 o'clock on my calendar. I was literally just like, and that's in 30 minutes or 20 minutes from now. I literally thought I was early checking my emails. I thought I was doing it all right. And like, you're like, we're already here, dude. I'm like, I'm gonna look like a giant asshole to these like awesome guys. Like, I literally watched your podcast and everything. I was like, I'm gonna watch. I watched like 3 episodes probably. Like that last one was kind of dark but good content. You know, like you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
Farah.
yeah, that was dark. It was good, great content though. I mean, a great story, great lady and stuff, good energy. And you guys kind of open up to her and stuff was pretty good. And then I literally skimmed through all your stuff and then to be late on top. And I'm like, why did I do my homework if I can't even show up to school? You know, it's like, oh,
well, you know what? I'm going to invite you to let go of all of that, Anthony. Those are the circumstances, the context of what happened. And we are now in this present moment and we can breathe depth and power and light and funny shit into this moment.
Yeah. Oh, and I just got why you thought you were only 22 minutes late because, yeah, we waited 15 minutes before we started recording.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Well,
So what part of the country are you in, Anthony?
I'm in Missouri right now. I'm in the suburbs, just like in the suburbs of like around St. Louis, like basically.
Awesome. Is that swamp country?
It's a forest with like roads through it. It's like what it looks like to me anyway. It's like just highways and like there's forests everywhere. It's pretty cool, man. I like it out here a lot. Where are you guys at?
We're in Northern California, not far from San Francisco.
Okay, Bay Area and stuff. Nice.
Yeah.
It's
dry.
I heard on one of your podcasts, you said you're divorced, you lost your house, and there was but maybe you lost your job. And you said you did. Was that all real?
Oh no, I was just making stuff up. It was fine.
Okay.
Like the intro had so many ads in it, so I was just like explaining why it had so many ads. I was just like being sarcastic. It's like it went for like it was like a 7-minute intro, and I was like, oh my god, like
yeah. First you had the music out for a second there. I even thought like, do I have the right guy? Like, is this the real podcast? And I was like, oh no, it is. Okay, all right.
And then one of the guests got mad at the intro and didn't.
Yeah.
And just left and like just was crazy. I was just like, all right. I'm like, I don't know, everybody's mad, and I got real things to do. You know, I don't really can't get mad with truth.
Yeah, like there's no time for anger.
Yeah, you guys are some good podcasters. So you guys like carry yourself well, have good energy and stuff. I like how you guys like you guys vibe with the guests good. Though I literally just kind of because you even jump on somebody's podcast and then get to binge watch it to kind of figure out the vibe and stuff like that. So it's like, I definitely like you guys' style, man. You guys got something going, man. You guys need to be more narcissistic though and spam everyone. That's what I would do is just like spam everybody and buy ads and shit. Other than that, you guys have the fucking perfect format. Like,
well, do you want to buy an ad? That's a great sponsor break. We're here with Anthony Rogers.
Well, maybe he can help us with that project we were trying to launch.
Adrenochrome cola.
That's hilarious.
You have to be of a certain mental framework to understand that particular beverage.
And so how long have you been podcasting for?
For too long, man. You know, like I don't know, like I guess like 8 years or maybe 5 years. I think 8.
Damn. And do you do stand up?
Yeah, I do. That's what I do all spring and summer and stuff. I just like talking to a microphone and get paid too much for it.
Nice.
Paid too much, huh? That's a good deal.
Well, you have the 10 years of poverty to get there, and then
right.
like, I'm just like everyone calling you delusional and the poverty, and then you get to like middle class, like from it, and it feels like a lot of money. You know, it's like.
Meanwhile, you're as funny as you've ever been, still, or are you getting funnier? Do you think you're getting funnier?
I think I was better at 19, man. I think I cared more. Now it's like a job, you know. It's like, just to be honest, you know, it's like at 19 it was just like, man, I'm gonna do all this cool stuff, and I'm like doing some cool stuff, I think, you know. But it's it's just a job now. It's like clocking in. Like it's like I gotta be in like my tour bus. Like, oh my god, I got another show tonight because I just do so many shows in a weekend. I'm doing like 3 to 5 shows a weekend, you know. And like, so I'm like outside this place. I'm like, oh god. I got to work again. I just sat to work still. You know, it's like I should have had a better dream, and the dream shouldn't have included a job. You know. Well,
at least you don't have to share it with the bass player and the drummer and the merch guy.
Or load equipment. Yeah, no. A lot of my friends are in bands, like loading drums and stuff. I'm like, I don't know how you guys do that.
Yeah. The biggest thing you gotta carry in is like your microphone.
I don't even do that. No, I just like show up. You know, like They have
Oh,
the PA
okay.
and everything. Yeah, I have to show up and mumble into a microphone for 30 minutes to an hour.
But
And then,
that's awesome. You've built an hour set.
yeah, I wouldn't say it's a good one, but it's
Wow.
but it's in
You're being hired. And you're on the road with it?
I just got back from like a 20-state tour. I just did like with a school bus. My wife drove a school bus across America while I complained about it and did shows.
Damn, that's awesome. And how often do you change up your set?
Well, it depends, man. Sometimes I'll use like some. I usually only tell a couple jokes, man. The rest of I just rant and just do whatever I want. So I just kind of just like vibe the crowd, you know.
All right, so
That's
like,
cool.
who's some of the legends that you look up to?
Probably like Bill Hicks, George Carlin, Mitch Hedberg, probably my top three.
Yeah.
What was the third one?
Mitch Hedberg.
I don't know, Mick
He was a
Shepard.
one-liner guy in the '90s. He probably had the best one-liners. Whereas like Carlin and Hicks were just like, you're going to learn something from them. You know, you're going to walk away like, man, I just had a history lesson and like a couple other classes. I just like that kind of comedy. I like how you can make like being smarter funny. You know, I kind of like that aspect.
Both Hicks and Carlin are in the same category as Yoda in terms of their wisdom.
Pretty much, man. I mean, pretty much. Yeah, it's weird being older than like Bill Hicks ever was. Like, because I'm younger than him, obviously. So I found him when I was in high school, and then like now I'm like 37, and he died at like 33 or something. So it's weird seeing. It's weird like it was like, you know what I mean. Like it's weird like seeing Kurt Cobain now. You know, like when you're old.
Right.
It's like wow, he was like you know what I mean. It's the same thing with like anybody like man, I got older than that guy ever got, and he was like smarter than me still. I mean, it's like,
Wow. You know, I don't know. That's debatable.
Yeah, we use the Darwinian method to assess the smartness. You won.
Yeah.
dude, that's so great. That's so great, man. Yeah. That's true.
So how do you avoid the onslaught of drugs and alcohol in your circuit as a comic?
Oh, I just don't want to die, man. Like, everybody, you know, I mean, I smoke a lot of weed still, and like sometimes I get really drunk because like it's just free most of the time because everybody's just like trying to do shots with me and shit. And I'm big and I'm like 6 foot something. I'm Irish. I can handle it. But it's just like I don't know. I try to just smoke weed a lot, you know, instead of like I don't know. Everybody's like all these rich people trying to get me to do cocaine and stuff. I'm like I can't. I'm trying to keep my heart going and be like 50, you know, and then like see how it goes. So I gotta say no to like certain things, you know, but. Because I'm getting old and boring, you know. I gotta eat vegetables more than I do drugs now.
Mark and I were just talking about that.
Yeah, we just did like a whole bit about how I'm in this whole protocol about healing at 60 years old and working out and doing shit.
Wait, you're 60?
Yeah.
What the fuck? You look like you're like 50 or 40. You look like are you a vampire?
No.
You guys don't. Okay, that's crazy. I didn't know you're fucking. That's crazy, man. You look like a teenager.
Yeah.
You're like dressed like a teenager and have like a younger face. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's semen retention.
You're calling us immature. That's nice. Thanks.
That's crazy. No, that's crazy. How old are you then, Greg? Like,
I'm 61.
that's okay. That's crazy. You guys. Okay. Well, you age better than I do. Is that like?
No, man. It's still possible. Wait till you get to 60 before you say that.
Yeah, you're looking fine for 37. You said you're 37?
Trying to get there. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we're all vampires, I guess. That's
Yeah, exactly. We're doing great.
Instead
I
of
think
drinking,
laughter is the key because it's the ultimate detox.
Well, and like I think weed a lot too, man, because it keeps me way more calm in stressful situations. Like I heard in your last episode, and this is kind of a dark thing to bring up, but I heard in your last episode, both your mothers were passed away and stuff like that, and I'm literally in the house where my mom is like sick right now and like helping her and stuff like that, and like the amount of edibles and weed I smoke keep me like way less stressed out. Like I mean, obviously stress is going to hit you still, but it's like I can like straight face like the crazy situations that test your soul, you know. And I think that's it's very unspoken about marijuana. Everybody just thinks it's like a certain thing or something, but like, it definitely, like, you know what I mean? It definitely helps me like kind of like just straight face madness, you know, and like tragic things, you know?
Yeah.
So who cares for your mom when you're on the road?
Well, she has friends and stuff like that, like for when I did like the summer thing. I'm usually here like a fall through May kind of thing typically. Right. My wife's like a teacher, so we're kind of around during that time, and then like rotate like family and stuff, and like on weekends I get kind of breaks sometimes too. But yeah, no, it's like right now I'm just doing like I said, a podcast and like my show and stuff, kind of instead of live shows till probably 2024 because of that. But
Well, it sounds like you've found yourself a partner who's really committed to your life. Like she's there helping you with your mom passing. She's driving you around to gigs on the road.
And a bus, yeah. It's like the evolution of the 20-year-old bumming a ride, right? It's like now like a 37-year-old like, can I have a ride but in a bus?
Instead of sticking out your thumb, you just bring whatever vehicle he can get.
It's the evolution of the panhandler.
So would you want to get on some mopeds with us and cruise around the country doing like podcasts and comedy bits?
Dude, I'd be down with that at some point. I had a moped. I'll buy another one. Yeah, I had a moped. I like this. Yeah, that's actually I like the podcast names. That's why I reached out initially because like the podcast name made me laugh. Then like I read some episode. You guys are just on point, man. You guys have the format of what you need. Really, it's good. And I think like because it's like that. Everybody has a podcast, but like you guys actually have good chemistry and stuff. And I think you guys have a good thing going, man. How long has this been a show?
3 years. We're on our third season.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, it takes a sec to get as good as you guys like have the vibe and stuff like that. You guys were friends prior, probably.
Yeah, we've known each other since we were 20.
Okay, I could tell. Yeah, no, I could tell you guys. Yeah, you guys got good energy and stuff. So you can tell you've known each other for. Yeah, I could just tell like your vibe. I didn't know it was that long.
Yeah, we've pushed each other's buttons, thrown each other off cliffs, done it all.
Yeah.
That's the goal, man. To have friends and family around that long. That's the goal.
Yeah.
To grow with people. You know?
Amen.
That's crazy. You guys are fucking 60, man. Sorry for the language, but I'm like thrown off by. I'm like thrown. Okay. It's just like so. Like when you told me that, I'm like, there's no way. Like I don't know, man. You guys must be on that adrenochrome startup we're talking about. Like
that's it, adrenochrome soda. And now we break for our sponsor, adrenochrome soda.
Adrenochrome soda is made by biologically units that are grown completely free of all harmful chemicals. There's no sugar added, and it's available only in select Illuminati stores
or a pizza parlor near you. And it's organic.
Dude, that's great. You guys, I love the commercial. That's great. Sorry, whatever you're saying. I just like that.
Well, yes, like when my mom passed, it was very quick. Like she kind of crossed the line and within 4 weeks passed. My father was very similar. He was brought into a hospital on a Friday and passed on a Monday.
Oh, wow.
For your mom, what's the process that you're experiencing?
Basically, okay, so this has been a couple of years now. I think at least this is the third year, I think. So she was diagnosed with ALS, but I'm trying to disprove that because ALS is a diagnosis by not being able to diagnose other things. It's almost a thing you're just like, well, it's not this, it's not this, it's not this, it must be this. But there's no actual evidence of that from my perspective. So I'm trying to basically heal her and get her. She's been sitting in a chair for a while, and I think it's nerve damage. So I'm trying to get her her mindset more positive and like get and like play like some like I'm Christian, so I'm playing some gospel music for her and stuff. And and trying to get her like going and get her eating like farm fresh food, like protein, all that stuff. Seeing if I could do a natural healing thing with all the things that Earth already has, you know. And then you know, trying to figure that out and like you know, just fighting it, like you know, just straight fighting it.
There's some stem cell patches you can get. Have you heard of this?
I have not actually. Would that replace nerves?
It's basically it'll help your body create the cells that it uses to create its own structure. Gotcha. So when we come out of the womb, we have an abundance of them from the placenta, and then over time we make them, right? And over time we make less of them, and as disease and stress hits, or diet and stuff, the stem cell thing changes. But there's these patches now that release a precursor. It's not the actual stem cell, but it's a thing that your body needs more of to actually create its own stem cells. And I've met a couple of people one guy turned cancer around.
Wow.
And another guy's reduced inflammation. I don't have a brand name, but just Google stem cell.
Yeah, I'm putting my notes. Yeah, no, I'm putting my notes, man. Thank you.
And just for everyone who's listening out there in podcast land, I am not a doctor, and this is not medical advice.
You're just like, I invested heavily in the stock of this company, but I have no.
What does ALS stand for? Like, what does that term even mean?
I don't really understand it, but it's like it's the same thing. Lou Gehrig's disease is like rebranded. Like Lou Gehrig is like one of the most famous people who dies. Basically, what that is like a regressive disease where your body just kind of shuts down completely. So, and that's what they think's happening. But I think a lot of it's from immobility of like sitting in a chair and stuff. But I mean, most people would say that I'm in denial, probably delusional. but I think I'm right. I think I'm not fighting it. I'm standing my ground. I'm trying to find it and stuff.
Well, you're a prime candidate for denial as her son and someone who loves her. I mean, that would not be, unusual for you to feel that. And at the same time, I think you got the right attitude, because both Greg and I are both people who've read this book called A Course in Miracles. And you said you're a Christian. And I think the world operates beyond the level of material science. And so good on you for exploring those fringes and trying to come up with something that will help your mom, get better. And I was going to stop, Greg, because both of our moms died, but we don't know that yours is going to anytime soon.
Exactly, man. That's what I'm fighting, man.
Right on.
Well, we don't know when, but we know one day. We all
Fair.
will.
Fair.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll get run over by a moped.
Yeah, giant one. So what brought you to, was Christianity a part of your life right from day one?
Oh no, I was like a terrible person, man. I was very selfish and just I was just a very self-involved, terrible person at one point. But I thought how dirty my soul was, and I wanted to change it.
So were you Christian when you started stand-up at 19?
Oh God, no.
Was it your wife who introduced you to Christianity?
I mean, that's interesting in a way, maybe, because I think she grew up in a religious household and stuff like that. But I think when I don't know, I feel like it comes to you, man. I feel like whenever it happens, I felt how dirty my soul was, and I felt like it was because I was a prankster, not because I'm truly evil. So I was given a chance, this sounds crazy, but I feel like it was that's how I feel. And I feel like I was given a chance to save my soul. And I feel like I'm fighting that too, bro. I'm doing that fight too, trying to keep a clean soul, trying to be a millionaire, trying to get to be a millionaire and keep a clean soul are my two goals, on earth.
Those are two very good goals.
And those may not be antithetical. Some people might argue that those two things are antithetical, but I don't personally subscribe to that belief myself.
I don't either. You can provide a good service, like water or something,
And I think this is a good time for you to talk about your soul, Greg.
It's intact. What do you want to know?
Well, Greg at one point in his early years thought he made a deal with the devil to become a rock star.
Yeah.
And
so I sold my soul to the devil, but it wasn't like any dark magic or some black religious thing. I was just sitting on the deck listening to Sympathy for the Devil, Rolling Stones. My friends and I, we were all going to be rock stars. And I thought, if that's what it takes, all right, I'll do it.
But you've had a turnaround since then, right?
Well, yeah, I went on a stereotypical journey with that deal with the devil where everything got really great and then it went really dark. And
then you met the love of your life and had 3 kids and became a spiritually awake person.
I think I'm still like you said, Anthony, earlier, I think there's an element of, for me personally, God is real. And what does that even mean? There's an acceptance, God is real. And then what does that mean? So there's a journey and an exploration of life and the creation of life and the belief and faith and love and that it's real and that ultimately that's what we want to do. We want to love everyone and be in love with everyone. And it could get really hard. Like with my ex, the woman that Mark just mentioned with the 3 children, she's now my ex and she's engaged to another man. And I still have, logically, I've totally let it go. Logically, it's all good. But emotionally, there's still chaos going on. So part of the spiritual journey for me is how do I live truthfully and honestly with what is my moment to moment thing. And like I shared with you guys earlier, something's kind of bumming me out in life right now. What's the authenticity of spirit in the dark night of the soul?
Yeah. Well, I'd like you to take a crack at that, Anthony.
I mean, that's just it sounded good. And I can relate to it. I think I think terrible and amazing things happen simultaneously, constantly. You know, I think birth and death happen at the same time. You know, pretty much. It's just a cycle, man. It's like, it's how you handle it. You know, it's it's how you handle it and don't let it conquer you. You know, you got to conquer it. You know, no matter what it is. I mean, whatever darkness or demons are on you, you know, you gotta handle that. You know.
You know, we were talking about David Goggins, and we were going like, well, the body and the mind are going to mess with you, and like pain and your mental framework will totally take you down if you let it. And there's this part that actually overcomes that. And what part of us is the part that overcomes the mind and the body's avoidance of pain? And we gave it a name, but Anthony, you didn't hear that. So I'm curious, what do you think it is?
Yeah, because here's
no, continue. Sorry.
So like here's the experience. Mark woke up at like 3:45 this morning. He's in this challenge with this group of men, and he's committed to get out of bed at, you know, be awake by 4, and by 5 o'clock he's at the track with this weight vest on doing 3 miles.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
He had a gig last night, and at 3:45 he woke up and he's in total anxiety. Like, you can't do this. It's not going to happen. You're going to fail. And it was what we were talking about is he went and did it. In fact, he did a better time today than he's done the past 2 days. So what is that essence of self that is stronger than the physical body saying you're going to fail and the mental body saying you're going to fail?
I'd almost argue the mind telling you that's not you. You know what I mean? I'd almost argue. I think we're in a weird place where I think we're like, you know, I think it's like demon. I believe in like demons and darkness, and like it's a bet for our soul all the time, man. So I mean, they're going to tell you can't do anything good. They want to be miserable. They want you in pain and misery to where they can prey on you easier, from my perspective. And I think it's always, I mean, and like. I just think that's not your voice. You know, I think your voice will always, you know, we have the voice of heroes, you know, like we're the souls of heroes, you know.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah, well, you're our guest, and your opinions are what we want to know about today.
That's such blatant honesty.
Unless you want to sit and watch Greg and I talk, which you've already done plenty of, apparently.
No, I had to binge. Like when I go on a show, I have to just, you got to know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? And like the podcast name was cool and stuff. So it's like, you got cool guests. Like, so I just tore through stuff, man.
Do you find any challenge in being a Christian and, in essence, breaking bread with a porn star? You had a porn star on your last episode I saw. Like, is there any inner challenge to the...
I mean, I think it's easier because I'm married. So it's like, I think that like, I'm just like, I basically, I am such a, like in the instance of how you're like how people will see, they're like, oh, he was on a show with the porn star. Like, I'm I just see cross promotion. like to be honest, I'm such a businessman at 37 to where I'm not like at 24. You probably worry about that more. You know what I mean? Like you put me around a bunch of porn stars at 24, I probably wouldn't have the most integrity, you know. But I think at 37, I'm kind of just like, I'm married. I've been with my wife for about 8 years. I'm married for about 2 years. I think that Jesus probably would talk to porn stars too. I mean, I think that like, you know, I mean, he talks to everybody. You know, I think that's the goal, is no judgment as being a Christian. And I think that that's the biggest thing. And I think a lot of Christians do say they have a problem with that though. So I do see your point, because I'm like, I'm from Missouri. So a lot of the surrounding areas are Republican, Christian, conservative households and stuff. And they'll say stuff, and then they'll thumbs down it on Telegram and stuff and get kind of mad. They're porn stars. But I think that's their lack of self-control and lust, like coming out more so, and just being like, I can't control lust, so I can't even think about that. Where I think more or less like, I'm just like, how do I become a millionaire all the time? And I'm like trying to like figure out getting my ranch and stuff, you know. So it's all just, everything's business to me. It's like it's the same thing as like there's no difference to me from a porn star between a porn star and like the episode I had with like ICP and like a theoretical physicist. You know, they're all just interesting people in different ways, and like everyone's got a story, and sometimes some stories are more interesting than others, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you said it earlier too, like, you know, Jesus being the guide in the Christian belief. He said it, love everybody. That was his thing.
Yeah, him and the Beatles. Like,
yeah. All you need is love.
Yeah, dude. And like, yeah, it's just like it's a business thing to me. If I was looking at it and lost for something or being creative, there's already a Howard Stern, you know. There's already guys like he's like, look how dumb everybody is and look how smart I am. You know, it's like, it's just like there's always guys like that. And that's insecurity, man. You know, I think a truly intelligent person builds up other people, and I think that's the biggest key to what we're doing. I think it's the same thing with this podcast. It's like we're just building up, we're really patting each other, and like I'll be spamming this thing everywhere. Like, look, I talk to people, everybody on the internet. You know, it's just cross promotion. You know, it's just like it's the same thing. And it's always smart. It's good getting other people's perspectives, and everything's supposed to happen. So it's weird.
I know. Well, now I got this business question in my mind. I'm wondering, do we cut the first 20 minutes where it's just Mark and I? So when you spam it around, like people bounce on, they're like, fucking Anthony's not on there. Forget it.
Yeah, we can have that be like a special like podcast bonus episode.
Yeah, we'll find out.
We'll just start it from when Anthony shows up.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. We'll cover this in the intro.
You'll already know what happened by the time you're watching this part right here.
Yeah.
So have you been able to build your social media and podcasting into a business?
Yeah. My biggest problem is that I'm too good at it, so they limit me. Well, I basically, like, I had 1 million people on Facebook like years ago. I'd probably be at like 20. Like I'd probably be at 20 million by now if they didn't delete it, you know. And then I'm at like I have a decent amount on Instagram right now and some other apps and stuff. But it's like you can only get so big before they cancel you and like cry about it, you know. It's just like it's like annoying, and it's like I don't know. I'm like I don't know. I feel like a free man, and I feel like I could say whatever I want all the time. But like all these nerds are telling me I can't, and I'm just like, I don't respect you. I don't know. You know, it's like.
So I'm curious about what your experience was getting throttled or getting canceled by the media companies. What do you think? Describe how you viewed that process and what your experience was like going, you know, like starting at the top. Like, okay, you're at the top of the mountain. We all know that that's a long journey, but there you are, and something happens. What was your point of view about what happened, and then how did that affect you? So
it was I'd say two major times this happened. It was like Facebook, where it was like 1 million people, and it was like verified account and stuff, and then there's like and then Twitter too. Okay, so Facebook was like when all those guys, I found out all those guys were sharing our data and stuff and know our addresses and stuff. I shared Mark Zuckerberg's address and a picture of his house, and I was just like, well, if Mark Zuckerberg has all my information where I live, I'd like you all to have this. And it had like a lot of shares really fast, and it was kind of going viral. And they basically deleted the post, and I posted it again, and then I just said the same thing, and then they're like and then they tried to ban me for it, and then they deleted the entire account basically. Facebook did, and then more recently, I ran for offices for U.S. Congress when they're shutting down my town, and they're trying to tell everybody like business is illegal and like people I can't leave their homes. I tried to run for office and try to stop that, and I basically just like and I argued for like the Bill of Rights and other things on Twitter, and they just delete you on that too. They don't respect your country. They don't respect you. They don't respect your God. They don't respect anything, man. And they act like you can't talk about it on the internet. You can talk about anything but Jesus and like loving your country. And it's like insane to me. It's insulting, to be honest. Like I'm completely insulted by it, like, to be honest.
So when you stood up and tried to have your voice about what you thought and what the way you viewed things, what happened was that became too threatening to Twitter and Facebook, and then they decided you were done. And we're all aware, everybody in this podcast right now is aware of the kind of personalities out there in the world who fear what people talk about to such a degree that they think it's dangerous to let people talk about stuff.
Yeah. No,
right.
It is.
And like, I'll admit that there are things there are limits to free speech. You go to any college course and talk about the First Amendment, and there'll be a discussion of where the limits of free speech are. But there's so much fear of the other and so much fear of being out of control. And people have forgotten what liberty means.
Yeah.
They definitely have. I think so. I think we're in the midst of the slowest communist takeover of all time. And I think, I like to be honest, I think they tore down our statues. And I'm not trying to trigger people. We could change the subject. Politics is crazy, but
we trigger people on this show.
Yeah, we're okay.
We're
I
okay.
didn't mean in a mean way. I just mean in a respectful way. It's like, you guys are nice and stuff. And I don't want to send you guys away from my how I view something. But
No, we want these kinds of conversations because cancel culture and the ideas, because the healing that we talked about earlier, that is the healing of the ages, whether that's from a Christian viewpoint or anything else, like just love, heart-centered love, Beatles. It can't happen if we do that to each other. The way that this happens is we get good at holding the thing we're uncomfortable about the people we come in contact with. And I think that's why comedy is so powerful, because it gives us an opportunity to kind of poke fun at our tendencies to cower in fear or make, judgments against people or try to shut down their thinking just because it scares us.
No, I agree. I think that 100%. I think everybody's their friend, like regardless of belief. And I think both sides of the political argument are both patriots. They love our country enough to have the discussion. Like, to be honest, it's how I feel about America anyway. But no, I think I think we're in the middle of like a takeover. It's probably a globalist takeover, or it's happening in a lot of nations, or it's a communist one, or it's the same thing, or it's China taking over multiple countries. Because you saw the shutdown put everybody behind 2 years basically economically from them, and you saw like other things. We're in the middle of like this crazy thing. I can't really describe it, but it feels like I'm losing.
I would describe it as disaster capitalism, right? And what I would call overzealous capitalism. Because if you look at the history of the development of the business, let's just take the corporate charter, for instance. When the United States made it legal to do corporations in the beginning, there was a 5-year limit on how long you could be a corporation. The idea was you could issue stock, and then you could have stock and trade it. And at the end of the 5 years, if the business had failed, okay. If it had been a success, now all those certificates turn into certificates of ownership, and you don't trade them anymore because you've been part of an enterprise. And if you didn't want to be part of an enterprise, you had a 5-year window to sell your stock to someone who did. And now we have this thing where corporate bylaws have just grown and grown and grown, and they've become outside the checks and balances of our country's framework. And that there's an issue for sure with communism. Don't get me wrong. But I think toxic capitalism is also at play here. Like, for instance, my family's from Montana, and for decades, the Montana Power Company was state-owned. It was extremely reliable. The workers got paid a decent wage, and the cost of the electricity was almost nothing because they were basically using the Missouri River to pump things, right? Yeah. And then they sold the company. They sold the apparatus and all the transmission lines to a company, and suddenly the profits and the money went way up, and people's fees went way up, and the material infrastructure started to degrade because they didn't want to spend the money to keep it up. And so there's these aspects of our culture and our society that don't quite fit the idea of ingenuity and profit and those things driving innovation, right? In those situations, innovation is stifled by ownership and stifled by creating profit. Exactly. And that's not socialism. That's just intelligence, right?
Yeah, I didn't mean the argument of communism as much as as far as the CCP as a political party. They're more evil than really communist even anyway, or they're not really socialist, or they're fascist really. But I think what you said is why we lost, because you nailed why we lost, because basically the corporations sold. Okay, so in the 90s they sold all the factories to China basically, and they started in the 70s, but in the 90s they finished it, and then basically so we sold our country out for what you're talking about, and we're using slavery. And we're using all these different, the corporations are, not us, but the corporations are using slavery, and they're doing all these things, and that's why we lost to the CCP, in my opinion.
Back to Nixon opening up the channels with China, and when Nixon did that, it was the very beginning of the process you're talking about, and then this idea of exporting jobs to help the profit motive hollowed out the labor forces of the United States.
Yeah,
right.
And it made 9 guys record profits, and we're all broke right now because of it. It ruined the world economy, not just ours. And that's what we're trying to resolve that. And I think like we need to start making things our own, like again, and reinventing our institutions. And from my perspective, I think that basically our institutions are all compromised, like completely compromised. And like I think that we need to start new ones.
So this brings up the question of, do we have to burn it down, or can we do something to shift it?
They're already burning it down by doing it themselves. It's weird. Like they're like when you look up all these like food plants and all these different companies getting like bombed and burned. You read this stuff like these food plants are getting burned and like all these different things. Like I feel like my enemies are taking out my enemies. Like it's all just like abolishing itself because like evil. It's just the process of evil. It's like it's just the code of the universe. You can't really be evil that long, otherwise it just comes back on you hard. Like the beliefs of karma and the beliefs of all that. It's like you can't really be evil long.
Well, how did your run for politics go?
I spent. It was more of a, I guess in reflection, is more of a statement than it was. But I ran for. I was a Republican nominee. I lost in the general election. I spent no money other than like business. I spent $28 other than the filing fee. And then my opponent proved my point that politics is panhandling and collected like millions of dollars from the brokest community in my state, St. Louis. And like, as I lived in, my address is in St. Louis. I'm in the county helping my mother right now. But I'm just saying like, so yeah, no, it went really well. I think I did really well for my first time, not knowing anything. Having an internet presence helped a lot, like some other stuff. But I mean, yeah, I just spammed my way to the top, won the primary, all that.
Do you think that the people who have the aptitude and the innovative vision to actually sort of start healing this process are the ones that are opposed to running and averse to being in a part of the political, mechanism?
I think everybody's so beaten down, they don't believe in themselves and they don't think they could do anything. I think people are so beaten down, they doubt themselves all the time. They don't have any confidence, man. I think the world beat us down. It's like MK Ultra. It's like trauma marketing constantly. It's like, look at this sad story, World War II, Civil War, everybody died, another disease, this happened, scandal, bad news. It's just like it's an energy level. They keep us at a really low energy to where we doubt ourselves and don't believe how powerful we truly are. It's a frequency game. Was there mostly water?
What do you do daily to keep your frequency at a high vibration and a positive vibration?
I don't know that I do, but I definitely try. So I try to drink mostly well water, like really clean well water, so it's not like fluoride in it and stuff like that. I eat farm fresh food. I try to, and my sponsors are really good quality food companies, high protein and stuff like that I use too. And then it's like I mostly drink water. I treat soda like it's like a pie or a dessert or something, not a beverage. And just certain things like that. I think that's my thought process right now. I'm not sure how intelligent it is, but that's where I'm at right now. At least that's what I think is working.
Well, you said earlier. I'm sorry, Mike. Let me quickly. You said earlier, cannabis plays a big role in your mindset. So, would you say that's part of your daily keeping your vibration positive?
It's part of my minutely.
So what you're saying, Anthony, is you're a Rastaman.
Yeah, you don't go 6 years without cutting your hair or shaving without smoking a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because the code breakers, the Navajo code breakers who helped us defeat the Japanese in World War II were amazing at what they did. And then as soon as they went to basic training and they cut their hair off, they lost their capacity to actually do some of the work that they thought that they were so good at in the field before that. And it took them a little while to figure it out before they could become.
That. Yeah. I think they're like nerves. They're like nerves, like how trees work. They're like nerve endings and stuff. And like, I don't know. And I think like edibles help a lot. And I think like you're not supposed to cut your like Leviticus is not to cut the size of your hair. You're not supposed to. Right. You're not supposed to cut your hair or have tattoos. I messed that up. But
so I am the exception. I'm the exception that proves the rule because just based on this conversation, I'm awake. My vibration is high.
I can tell.
But imagine if I let it all grow out, how much higher I could be.
Yeah. No, you're right though. I think.
Except there's a part of it that just won't ever do it again.
I just put a hat with my logo over it instead of shaving. I just put my face over the bald spot. So it's just like I turned it into branding. Yeah.
But it is interesting. Like we have the famous Samson and Delilah story from the Old Testament, and Mark mentioned earlier with the Course in Miracles and us talking about spirituality and God. That is beyond the physical. There's a root faith that I have that any investment in of strength and spirit in that which is finite is just a temporary thing. It's not, I don't know, for lack of a better way to put it, it's not a direct line to the divine, because the divine is infinite. So
to take this even weirder, man, I think I remember before I was born. Even I think I remember picking this life, which sounds crazy. I mean, it sounds nuts.
All right, let's hear about this.
I think I remember being like in this, like, my soul being like this, like, sphere, this circle, like kind of like this weird space prison or something for some reason. I'm not sure. I don't remember the why, but I remember like being, and then I remember like picking my life, and it was like, okay, can you do it this time? Can you, like, it was like some weird thing I didn't do. I don't remember that part of it, but I remember like picking between like 3 or 4 lives. Like it was like a video game. You're like picking your character, kind of like they tell you, like, you almost know outside of your body, like all time is infinite. It feels like at least in that dream. I think this happened, but I'm not. It may have been a dream. I don't know, but I think it happened. And like I think it was a memory, and I felt like, just like, you look at Earth and you're just like, you see, like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, they showed me the lives, like, in like a really fast app, and I picked this one, and I knew there'd be some like crazy challenges and stuff like that, but it's how you deal with it. And there's something, Earth's like it's a weird, it feels like a weird space prison with like lessons, you know, and like that would line up with like the teachings of the Bible. I mean, even to me too, but it's just, that's what it feels like to me. I don't know. You guys have memories?
What's a lesson?
A Wesson? What do you mean?
You just said the Earth feels like a weird vibe filled up with Wessons.
Oh, Wesson. Sorry, I mumbled. Wesson.
I got it.
A mumble, yeah.
All right.
That's what it feels like to me.
You've shared 2 very kind of profound things, like the one, an awareness that your soul was dirty and you wanted to clean it up.
Probably still is. I'm a sinner. You know, I broke a lot of the rules I didn't mean to.
And the other is, you know, you sharing that you have this really gut experience of choosing your lifeline.
I wonder if we all did, or if that's real or not. I wonder if it's a memory or a dream, and I wonder if we all did. Like, we're all just going through this, like, our souls pick these vessels and these plans. I heard some interesting theories too, that like everybody does this, like, with everybody's life. Like, everybody's been everybody, and everybody will be everybody.
Oh, that's trippy.
Like, yeah, it's kind of interesting to think about.
Sounds like drugs.
Well, you know, my thought on this is that when the sleep occurs, the soul does something different than when you're awake. Well, I didn't want to describe it necessarily as being out of body, but let's just say it's in another state of beingness. Dimension potentially. However you want to look at it, right? But the key is, every time you wake, you're remaking those choices. You're upping on your commitment to the karma that you chose when you chose your life. And I think that's born in the reflection of me having anxiety about doing this workout this morning, because I definitely was battling with the double, the angel devil thing. And I chose actively out of sleep to rise and just get out there and do it. And I think the power of choice, the power of the will, and the intention behind it to do good, to do the will to the good in the world, is a key component of our spiritual evolution. And so the reason that God allows evil to be present on the planet is because we have to develop that piece of our abilities as individual souls as a part of the functional evolution of our spiritual, capacities. And so if you take evil off the table, it's just like bowling with gutter guards. It's not going to really evolve you. And so that's sort of the weird thing about Earth, is that we are in this space with what I consider to be a benevolent, loving creator. But within that creator allows all forms of criminal behavior and suffering and, war and dominance and cancel culture, all of those things, because we have to face ourselves in the challenges that come up as a result of that. And just to tie this all in a neat bow, I think comedy is one of the highest levels of spiritual advisement, because when you go to see the priest, it's fucking serious, man. It's like, it's a big deal. Like, whether he's a Buddhist, whether he's a Christian, whether he's a rabbi, or she's, a witch, it's serious, right? But comedy, like we said, with Bill Hicks and Carlin and you, Anthony, there's this opportunity for some light to shine through and remind people that they're actually way more buoyant than they think they are in their life, that they have this great opportunity to shed all of the things that are clouding their thinking and recognize the grace of it. And here's the final piece. If I were God, please forgive me, and I had to witness eternity, I would make it like the most rad sitcom ever, because who wants to sit around and watch anything but, like the fun and hilarity of the human condition? So I think that's part of the plan too, is that joy and humor is available as part of those spiritual transformations. And so in that sense, Anthony, you're a priest of levity.
I wouldn't say that, but and I think it's like a philosopher though. And I think I definitely, the priests were, I get what you're saying. I get the overall concept. I agree.
Yeah, the priest thing was kind of shut you down though. I get it. That's cool.
It's like being like it looks like the new rock star, man. It's like I feel like everybody has a band, I think comedy's like the new rock star, like how it was like before. Like when I hear someone's in a band now, I'm like, oh god. Like I'm in a band, you're like, oh god, and I think it's like a cultural thing. I think it's just like how the world changed. I think like we're like the new rock star philosophers kind of, and then like we're aspiring to be what you say. I mean, I think that's the aspiration, is to be able to like help people. I think that's and like pull them out of this like traumatizing experience they just had over the last 3 years, and like pull them out of all these other things that even on top of what the prescription of trauma, people had tragedies on top of that, so it's just like, you just gotta pull everybody out of it, and like we gotta go to the Renaissance, right? It's like even the book of Revelation, like after that there's 1,000 years of peace. It's just another cycle, you know what I mean? The current book we're in is, it ends in tragedy and stuff, but it's all a test, and like we have 1,000 years of peace.
Well, there's some evidence that suggests that book of Revelations was never actually something done by John.
I'm familiar with that. I personally disagree, but I'm familiar with that. I know that like they said it was a code for like the leader at the time couldn't read in Rome.
There's stuff happening with Constantine, kind of deciding what we should all have out of all of the great texts. And I agree with you. It's not necessarily that we should throw the baby out with the bathwater with that, but there's something about control matrices around thinking that comes through our media. And what was the Bible when we didn't have media? It was a form of indoctrination. Like, here's the things, and I'm not talking about the scrolls, the original.
I totally agree that happened. I think a lot of editing happened for sure.
And so I don't trust, Catholics. I trust Catholics. I don't trust the Catholic Church.
Oh, me neither. No, that's a crime. Right? That's a crime syndicate. That's a sex trafficking organization, a drug trafficking organization. Like, that has nothing to do with God. And like, even though pictures on the wall look like Lucifer, not Jesus, like it's like this beautiful man. Like Lucifer was the most beautiful angel. Jesus was a haggard man. He's a carpenter. You know what I mean? Like they're worshiping Lucifer and like this weird barb. Like, no, I think that's with the Catholics too. That's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. I see it all the time. Yeah.
So I want to ask you a more pointed question. It kind of calls back to something you said a few minutes ago, where you said when people say, "Hey, I'm in a band," you kind of go, "Oh." Right. And you're also sort of saying like comedy and podcasting are sort of like that now too, right?
I think we're doing rock stars. Yeah. And I think it kind of became that. Yeah.
So I want to challenge your beliefs. Do I have the permission to do that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. You get permission to do whatever you want, bro. Free will.
Awesome. I like getting consent. I think that is a limiting belief. And the moment that you can receive someone who says that to you with love and compassion and encouragement, that's the moment where the switch flips and you get to be a millionaire.
What is it? You describe that to me.
So you feel something when they say, "Hey, I'm in a band," and it's like, "Oh, geez," and the opportunity is for you to say, "Far out, man! You found your calling. Like, that's cool." I hear your heart in that, right?
You're right.
And so you're recognizing the highest self, and that part of you that wants to kind of go, "Oh no, not another one." That's the part of you that actually wants to move out of the way in your path to becoming a fully enriched man. And I mean riches beyond monetary riches, right?
No, definitely. I would agree with that. Actually, that was a very like on point statement. I'd say, man, that's very true. And I don't act right all the time, but I agree that was definitely. Yeah, you're right. I agree with what you said. That's probably true.
What was funny about COVID?
I couldn't believe how fast everybody caught to the government and pharmaceutical industry. I couldn't believe, like, I did nothing change for me. I'm in Missouri. I just say whatever I wanted, man. So like, but other people, everyone just gave up. They're like, I don't know. Pfizer said
No. I didn't ask you what was serious about COVID. I asked you what was funny about COVID.
I thought that was funny. I don't know. I thought everybody cucking was funny. Yeah,
My mistake.
Trash bag hazmat suits and stuff, and trying. Like, I'm like, oh, that's the guy that's gonna outlive me. Is the guy in the trash bag hazmat suit, you know? But yeah, it was just like it was fear porn constantly. It was 24/7 fear porn. Everybody was acting retarded, myself included, because I thought I was going to a concentration camp. I'm like, these guys are fucking gonna kill me. These guys are gonna put me in a camp because they're fucking evil as fuck.
Yeah, well, there were some, like, even Kennedy, who's currently a senator. What's his name? He's been very outspoken against the vaccine.
Robert Kennedy.
Robert Kennedy, yes.
Yeah, he's running for president.
Yeah.
Right. And so he, like, at the very beginning was saying, look, we're ruining our children, you know, and then Joe Rogan has spoken openly how some of what he said just got him canceled. Like, I think what surprised me is, again, how it seemed for the most part people factioned into a group. You're either a believer or you're a non-believer. And no matter what side, it's like the Sneetches, those with stars and those without, you know?
100%. 100%.
And yeah.
The divide, no, we're all victims of the divide no matter what our opinion is. Yeah, no, you're right. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
So the challenge is for us to liberate that thinking. That's the thing. We have to figure out a way to break out of that divide and conquer box that's been part of the last like 1,500 years of social dominance. And you know, it's been different political, religious structures that have been exerting this principle, and it's unite and liberate that is the next phase.
Well, here's what I'm wondering, because how does one do that intelligently and spiritually, like uplifting, where for me, I just learned about the Oklahoma massacre. That was this town. It was called the Black Wall Street. Yeah, no, it wasn't Waco.
That's Texas, sorry. Yes, Texas, sorry.
But I just learned about that 3 years ago from an HBO show. And the show started with this piece of history. And I thought, oh, wow, that's a dramatic beginning to a show. And then I learned, oh, that really happened. So here's what my question is. Like, I think there's an acknowledgement of our history that definitely challenged people of color in ways that we never will be challenged, never were challenged. So how do we hold those realities in a process of healing and coming together?
I think like the focus on it like makes it worse. I think like if it's like man, it must be really hard to be in a wheelchair. We should all be in wheelchairs, you know. Like not to be rude, but I think we need to evolve past the crayon color arguments and stuff, and just kind of be like, okay, that's crayon color argument. Shut up, you're fucking adult, you know. And then like, let's talk about other shit, you know. And I think you should be able to bust balls over differences. And I think there's a hypersensitivity on it, and I think it makes it worse. Like, to be honest.
Here's what I know someone who was in a wheelchair where something happened I think it was at a school, and they built the steps first before they built the ramp to rebuild it. So I don't think the person in the wheelchair wanted me to get into a wheelchair, but they wanted me to have in my presence and thought, hey, how about building an entrance to the door that everybody can use first?
Oh no, I get what you're saying, but I think it's mostly like white people saying like that. Not black people are just like, hi, hey, what's up? You know, it's like, but I think like, you know, I think it's an insecurity we need to address because like, I mean, racism's dumb, obviously, and I think it's the hardest time to be racist possible because like as soon as you're racist, you're ostracized. You don't lose it. You lose your job. You lose your house. You lose your car. I think it's the least racist generation of all time. It's basically illegal to be racist at this point. Like, it's just not even, to me, it's not a problem, but it would be to. I mean, I imagine people experiencing it. Maybe it's a different thing, but. I think now, I mean, I think it more than ever, the law and people have their back, you know?
Well, so where I live right next to me is a city that is predominantly black. And just 3 years ago, I believe, a black couple wanted to have their home appraised to pull equity out. And it kept being appraised really low. And the woman was like, wait, something's going on that's not right. And they had friends of theirs that were white get it appraised like it was their home. And it was double, maybe even 3 times the amount.
That's so insane. People still think like that. It's like I'm insane. Most is probably 46% black. I'm not there right now, but my address is. But I mean, I believe that's like 46% black. They're just like people. I mean, just like hi, like hey, what's up, dude? Like, and like there's some. I mean, I think there's like definitely a racist. America has a racist history. I think this is I think we're working towards the. I think we're the most probably culturally aware country on the planet because we're the melting pot. So I think that I think that most other countries are probably way more racist, like China and like India and the UK even breaks down people of like white, of a different color of white. They're like, are you this kind of white? It's like I have red hair. They're like, they hate me there. I'm the you know, I mean, so I mean, they hate the Irish there. So I mean, of descent, you know. So I think it's just like I don't know. You're never gonna you're never gonna educate all the ignorant people, but we need to find ways to kind of adapt and make it nice for everybody. Like you said, I think we do need to consider that. Actually, I'm thinking I think we do need to consider everybody's feelings at least, and like ask them more so than me, you know.
What becomes possible when we actually have those difficult discussions about historical events that are real? You know, we're not talking about bullshit lies. We're talking about real things that happen. What becomes possible for us as a culture and as a community when we actually are able to have those conversations without people being shunned for being, you know, woke or being shunned for being racist?
Yeah, I think there's a mob mentality no matter what, but you're never gonna solve all the problems. People are gonna be like we're flawed, you know. We're just like we're never gonna get along, and we're never gonna do these things. Maybe we'll just like be like whatever, you know. It's like kind of make the best of the experience you want and collab. I think Earth's a collab. Like guys like us, you seem like guys do too. I think Earth's more like a collab and like just like whatever. Like I don't break people down into micro genres and stuff. And yeah, categories as well, yeah. And I think that, like, you know, I think we have a lot of problems with it. Otherwise, people wouldn't be screaming it in the streets. I mean, so I think it's definitely a problem to address. I mean, like, I mean, there's definitely something. We definitely need to heal as a world right now, I think. And I think just come together more so and just kind of, you know, just like have each other's back regardless of like sports teams and crayon colors and whatever else, you know. It just like, you know.
Have you and your wife developed a communication with each other that when challenges come up in your relationship with each other, you're able to communicate effectively and not like attack the other person, but deal with the challenge at hand?
I feel like when I'm tired or I don't eat enough food, I'm like that with everybody. But I do that. But I do think like mostly, yeah, we're on the same team. And like you know, I'm not going to act like 100%, but I say 99% of the time. I get crabby and stuff, and I'm a hard person to deal with, I imagine. But I think that like outside of that, I think like yeah, no, we're a really good team, and we have been since day one. Really, it's kind of like we just met, clicked, and just kind of became a really good team, and just have each other's back in a lot of ways, you know. Yeah.
On this recent road trip, did you have an audience that just wasn't going to laugh at what you were doing?
Not really. The only problems I had was three shows are kind of whack in attendance numbers, but I'd say out of 30, that's not a bad ratio because it used to be all 30 would be empty.
That's awesome, Anthony. That's huge. Like you've really developed yourself. Like you say, you know, would you say middle wealth, you know, like you were poverty for 10 years and you're professional now. Like you can hold a room. And I've seen it happen at open mics where someone who's really has the experience, they can come into a dead room and light it up.
It was weird. Like when I was in Kentucky, like this, I mean, this happened several times probably, but like, this is just an example. When I was in Kentucky, Paducah, Kentucky, I did this show, and there's probably 100 people in this room. Like we turned a burrito restaurant into like a comedy club for the night, and probably about 100 people there. And I asked him, I'm like, who listens to the Anthony Rogers Show, my podcast? And like 10 of the people were like, yeah. And I'm like, and 10 doesn't sound like a lot, but like I said, it used to be 0. So it's like weird seeing these people like start to be like because you have to do that. You have to, like, I think the biggest, if not that people are chasing advice or anything, but you might listen to this, I think the biggest thing is like you have to have one person to have 2 people, to have 3 people, to have 4 people, to keep going. And a lot of people get discouraged at that point where they're at like 20 people or they're at 5 people or something like that, like the live show aspect too, like another aspect, like you got to keep doing it. And then I think that's with anything. I think comedy is the point where I think I've finally passed the open mic thing, but I'm not delusional enough to where I think I'm Dave Chappelle or Joe Rogan. I think I'm in that like underground, like medium thing. I feel it building all the time. People are talking to me differently. Like I'm getting gas. People are like, hey, podcast, man, in like one city. Then I go to like another city and people are like, oh look, we got a local celebrity. I mean, and it's just like it's building. It's like building this thing up, and like I feel it, and I feel like we're all a part of it. And like we're like our energy is similar because we're on the same rise. I mean, we're fighting the same thing, so it's like that's why we get along probably. You know, so we're all on the same journey realistically. You know, like in art, you know, trying to expand and get. I mean, more listeners, more advertisers, more content, whatever the goal is in any particular order. I think that's it's beautiful seeing it. And like, it took forever, and I'm glad I chased it. I'm glad I it's like, I'm stubborn, man. Everybody told me I couldn't do it, and I'm stubborn, you know?
That's awesome, man. My hat's off to you. I
want to ask you, how do you develop your comedy talent? Like, how do you get better yourself? What are the things that you do to try and become a better comic?
I think I was funnier in like high school or like with my friends and stuff. Like when I'm around like my mom or like my friends, I just try to make them laugh all the time by just saying like ridiculous stuff. I think the room's weird. I just like kind of rant at him. I don't like in the room. I just like because like society's kind of like crumbling, and it kind of I don't like. Can we stop this or what? You know, like kind of energy right now. I think that's where I'm at. Like, and I'll try to write jokes, man. I'll write all these jokes, and I just don't even use them. I just like I'll write this entire set. I go out there and just not use any of it, and just be like, okay, you know, it's like, or maybe 3 jokes of it or something, and like it's just like, I don't know, a lot of guys carry on a notebook. I think it's like part of the image or something like that. Like there's like I write in a notebook because I write jokes, and I'm just like, that's just, no one cares. The audience doesn't care. They just want to be entertained. They don't care about your personality or your whatever until they like you already. You already have to be like, just to sell the notebook, you have to go like 20 other steps for them to care about you to then sell the notebook. Like, you mean, like, you can't just be like, oh, I'm a writer. Nobody cares about that. They don't care about that. They just want to be entertained, and like, hear you say, like, I can get away with saying a lot of words people can't say it, which I think is the challenge for me. I like going into markets where they're like, you can't say these words, and just getting away with saying them. And I think that's like the child in me. Like, you mean, like I'm like this like 16-year-old prankster still, even though I'm old, you know? That's like how I feel.
Outlaw comedy.
Well, like, yeah, the same concept. Yeah, it's like we're just like those little kids who are just like ourselves, you know? We're just gonna be ourselves. And I think that's what's real about us, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hey, what about the guy you have that does weather on your podcast? How'd you meet him?
Frankie McDonald, I know him a couple times, and then he's huge, man. He's all like Tosh 0.0, and he's like he's probably the most famous weatherman, really. If you look at numbers, like if you look at his Instagram, his Twitter, his whatever. I mean, he's in YouTube. He's probably one of the most famous weathermen, really. And that's kind of that's kind of hilarious. And he knows everything. Or you just ask him anywhere, he's like this. He's like, he just tells you immediately. I'm like, man, he's like Rain Man with weather, man. You know, Rain Man, like that movie Rain Man.
Yeah.
He's like that with weather, bro. You just like, and it's interesting. And I just like giving people their thing to shine. You know, if you're the best at anything, I just want you to shine. You know.
Dang.
So we're getting to the point where I have to wrap up. So it's time to answer the question of questions.
Okay. Yeah.
And I bet you know this question, Anthony. Do you know this question? If you listen to our podcast all the way through, you might know this question. No.
I don't. I guess I failed your test.
Got it. No problem. No judgment here.
Before we ask, so we do have to wrap up. Is there anything that you would like to bring up or state that hasn't been, like, where can people find you?
My address is I'm just joking.
Yeah, we want to knock on your door.
If you want,
on my door.
I have too many followers. If you follow me now, just unfollow me, please. And then don't look for me if you don't follow me. Just I have too many followers, and it's harassing online. I just want to return to a normal life.
All right. So we'll be posting that in a big red flag over the screen here.
We'll take all the followers that you don't want anymore. We're on the upswing. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to trade out.
If you want to unfollow Anthony, please follow us, and you know, we'll talk to you.
Yeah, unfollow me and follow Mope and Outlaws, and listen to stop listening to my podcast and only listen to their podcast.
No, don't do that.
Listen to both. It's okay. Both are acceptable.
At the same time.
Especially if you just smoked a big fatty, listen to both of them at the same time.
And if you're really of a superior mental being, then you can listen to them both backwards.
Yeah.
So before I ask the other question, I want to ask, I keep hearing this sound in the background, and I'm wondering, are you enjoying your Knife of the Month Club membership?
You knew it was the knife. You knew it was a knife. That's so funny. Yeah, that's so funny. You knew that was a knife. That's crazy.
Yeah. So
we want to know the answer. Are you enjoying your Knife of the Month Club?
Oh, Dude, no, okay. Having a podcast and getting ads is like Christmas every single day. Like you would be completely shot. And I have to give. Okay. So I'm sitting on a shelf right now, and I have like this is like a $200 bong they just mailed me, and I had 2 of them mailed to me. I gave one away, and then I keep having knives. I have like weird oils. I have like they keep mailing me stuff. I have like this weekend alone. I'm getting Omaha steaks. Real good foods, microphones for man on the street stuff, a weed box called Hemper Box that mail you this monthly weed thing, and then I'm getting another bong from Freeze Pipe. So I mean, it's like I'm literally in this weird printing money stage and this weird printing product stage, and like I'm trying to just straight face my family situation with my mom's like that, while I'm just like I'm trying to do everything. It's crazy, and it's right. It's like I won the white trash lottery. Like I get 5 Amazon packages every day. I'm trailer park rich, and I'm enjoying it after being trailer park poor.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, man! You deserve it. It's been really fun hanging out with you.
Likewise, you guys have to jump on my show sometime and do the same exact thing. But try to show up on time, guys. We can't have late guests. So if you, that's right. If you guys are late, I swear to God, I'm just messing with you. But if you want to return the favor and be 30 minutes late, I'll book it. I'll book it accordingly.
Book it at 10. We'll show up at 10:30.
Perfect. Yeah,
Anthony Rogers talks to himself for half an hour.
Yeah, I'll make sure to return the karma myself. So sorry about that. But you guys are great. You guys have on the show and jump on. We'll jump. You guys do any ghost stories or anything? You know any ghost?
Yeah, I got some ghost stories.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, well then I'm doing that in October, so maybe jump on one of those or something.
That'd be awesome. If
you're watching this past October 2023, this already happened. Yeah. So check that episode out too.
Yeah. Or if you can time travel, go ahead and listen to it now.
And let us know how it was. Yeah, let us know if it was good.
Remind us of what not to say. All right, so here's the big question, Anthony.
Okay.
Eminem or Foo Fighters?
Oh, neither, bro. I think they both suck.
Boom.
that is a
distinction. First. Yeah, no one has said that in all the times that we've asked that question.
No, everyone's like brainwashed through music, man. It's like hypnotizes people or something. Like I see it all the time. Like Bruce Springsteen's like he's just like fat and weird looking, like murder, and the entire crowd's just like losing their shit. I'm just like, man, this is witchcraft.
All right, what about DC Talk or Kirk Franklin?
I like DC Talk, bro. I'm probably go DC Talk.
All right.
I don't know enough about Kirk Franklin to be honest with you, though. To be honest.
Oh, you'll love him. He's really powerful. Really.
Yeah, I just realized I don't know that. I went with the one I heard of, so it doesn't count. Well, it doesn't because I haven't heard the other.
That does because it's only a preference. It's
fair.
You're not being asked to define what's better.
Okay.
You're just saying what I like.
Yeah.
And I kind of aged myself by mentioning DC Talk. I guess you kind of did too.
I like the Beatles,
I must be really young.
I like Elvis and the Beatles, man. Like music's timeless, man. You know, like I like Beethoven, bro. That guy was dead before I even walked Earth. You know, this time at least. So it's like everything's timeless, man. Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure hanging out. I'm glad you made it because I would have been really bummed if it was just Mark and I.
I thought, dude, I was so hyped thinking I was early and stuff, bro. I was like, you have no. I think I literally was like, okay, it's 12:30.
Yeah, I got it. You were so irresponsibly responsible. I get it. I know. It all lined up.
I thought I was 30 minutes early.
He was opening his Amazon packages with bongs in it, and
that's
that was
what happened.
late.
He's like, I'm gonna be early.
I thought it was 1 o'clock. I look at it. One of you guys already emailed me. You go, bro, we're in the waiting room. I'm like, oh God, that was. And I run in here. I get this ring light going, bro, because the light. Okay, let me show you this out the lighting. This is what it looked like when I turned it on. It had no. So I had to struggle with figuring out. I literally last minute did so much stuff after reading that email just to be on this show. Still, just so you know, and I meant no disrespect. And I was hyped about this. That's why I said I even listened to like 3 episodes because I'm like hyped about it. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, I messed up the time on my calendar, and I'm like, oh my God, I look like an asshole. And these guys think I care probably. I'm like, oh my God.
It was well worth all of the struggle for sure. It's been super cool talking to you, and I'm super excited about having more opportunities to either spend time on your podcast or just go on a moped tour with you, whatever.
Right over. Yeah, Anthony.
Both. Why not both, man? You know, it's like let's do the next show on mopeds. Well,
all right.
Well, God bless you guys. Thank you. Pleasure to meet you, Greg. Pleasure to meet you, Mark. Thank you guys.
All right. See you later, sir.
Recording stopped.